In this episode, I talk with Espree Devora, the creator of the podcast Women in Tech and wearelatech. Espree is one of the founding members of the LA tech scene and has seen the industry grow and develop over the years. In our conversation, we talk about her journey as an entrepreneur, the difficulties of executing, and why we should redefine what failure means. As I am still in the beginning process of starting this project, Espree and I also go in depth on what starting from zero can grow into. She gave me a lot of great advice and really pushed me to think about how this project can bring value to others. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Starting From Zero podcast.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, wait, hold on.
And now you can hear me better, right?
Oh, even better. There we go.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Cool. I'm good. I just did an interview myself.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What for?
The Women in Tech podcast, I interviewed a 6-year-old girl learning to code. She's building a robot.
Oh my God. That's so awesome.
It was really a cool moment. It was my first time doing that, and it was a really, really cool moment. Yeah.
Wow.
I was happy.
Yeah.
Here, I'll do that so I'm not like in the distance. There we go.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for doing this as well. I really appreciate you giving your time.
Yeah, of course. I'm like honored to be a part of it. I'm closing all the other screens. All right. I'm screened in.
But focused up.
Hopefully I don't have food in my teeth.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, yeah, so I think I'm just starting this project. I have interviewed one other person so far, a YouTuber
Nice.
By the name of Darren Levy.
Cool.
And so you're on my second interview. So
nice. I'm honored. Yeah. Of course.
I think I found your profile. I was looking through Cody Warner's Instagram.
Oh, Cody's amazing.
Yeah. How did you find his content or connect with him?
How did I find Cody? I found Cody before he maybe he was a recommended or something, but it was like early on. I can't remember what it was. It was either, I think he wasn't at 2,000 yet, or maybe he wasn't at 3,000 subscribers yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I found him and I became a Cody fan. And
Nice.
So I posted on my Facebook if my friends would subscribe to Cody so he could get past whatever the mark was.
Right.
And then he just had this upward trajectory to where he is now and becoming a thought leader in the YouTube space. So it was really cool to get in right before that and watch the journey,
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the best part when you find creators, the small channels or whatever you want to call it. And you get to be a part of their journey and grow.
Totally. Yeah.
That's very cool. Have you been a part of conferences or talks with him or?
Have I done any with him? I don't think so. No, I don't think we've spoken at the same event before, but he's spoken at he speaks at what is it called? Vid Summit.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke at this conference in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
And he made a really cool vlog about that. He speaks everywhere. He's super in demand speaker. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So for anybody listening who doesn't know your background or your story, who are you and what do you do in the world?
Sure. My name's Espree Devora. I podcast because I believe in serving a purpose larger than myself. So my podcast creates social impact and community. I've been podcasting since 2013.
Wow.
I'm a tech founder. I built the first action sports social network and I raised money and I identify as a tech founder. Yeah, I'm a writer. I'm an author. I'm a whole bunch of things. I've been
multifaceted.
I've been creative since I was a little girl.
Wow. How did you get involved in your creative side, or was there always a draw towards creativity for you?
Man, yeah, I feel like I was just born creative and born entrepreneurial. When I was 4 years old, I remember walking into Westwood Village with my father and daydreaming about what kind of businesses would go in the empty office buildings.
Wow.
In the 6th grade, he gifted me a video camera, and that I think led to just my obsession with like media and journalism. Montserrat Fontes was a huge influence in my life as a journalist, and I studied with her in high school. In junior high, I had a school magazine, and then in high school, I was the editor of my school paper, and then, it just goes on. And then I actually
Mm-hmm.
became a journalist, and now, in theory, I'm still a journalist because I'm a podcaster. But
Mm-hmm.
I think there's, I went to Cal Poly for journalism. I
Okay.
studied so I went to like 10 or 11 colleges. I don't remember anymore.
Oh,
Like a lot of colleges.
no way.
Cal Poly was just one of the several. But I learned a lot about journalism, and in journalism, like I don't really consider myself a journalist, because a true
Mm-hmm.
journalist does like a lot of fact checking, and it's just a different experience than I don't know where to look in the mic. I'm like, am I looking at the webcam? Am I looking at you? I don't know.
Yeah, either one's
But
all good.
yeah, as a journalist, you fact check, you find, I mean, I'm not saying that journalists do this. I'm saying that to be an appropriate journalist, that's what you
Mm-hmm.
should be doing. And so I think I'm a professional story sharer, because I
Yeah.
just don't want to dilute the word journalist. It means something. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, I am not acting as a journalist, I'm acting as a story sharer. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah.
No, it definitely does. That's very cool. And so how did you find like your passion for storytelling?
Man, I don't know. I think it's just something you're born with, right? You just
Mm-hmm.
become like, what's your passion?
Yeah, like this kind of stuff as well. It's been kind of a journey of finding this, and I've been working on more of action instead of just talking about doing things. That's something that
Nice.
I've struggled with myself. So I'm working on that manifestation kind of thing these days.
Nice.
Um,
You mean you're working on the anti-manifesting? You're like actually doing
or
it
I
rather than
guess, yeah,
thinking
that's
about it.
right. Yeah, putting
Yeah.
action behind my words.
I just found this accountability group that is really new. I don't know if they're going to
Okay.
get it off the ground, but it's called Huddle.
Okay.
They're based in Europe. I'm rooting for them. I don't know, but they have a
That's
few
cool.
cohorts going on, the groups that keep one another accountable. And yeah, I hear you, man, on the execution.
Yeah.
Execution is really where the secret is. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
execute, you have to figure out. It's weird because I've always considered myself an executor, and I was having a conversation with my friend Gavin the other day,
Mm-hmm.
because I had an old boss that a few months ago said like, I'm amazing at relationships, but I'm like awful at execution. And that like caught me off guard. Because obviously he and I still have a good relationship, and he didn't say that dramatically, but it like stuck with me, I'm like,
Yeah.
why in the world he like uses things that I implemented for his company. So how is that possible? So so I've been marinating on it. And my friend Gavin's like, you're amazing at executing when it comes to helping people. You're just not amazing at executing when it comes to helping yourself. And I was like, in business, I should say.
Okay.
Oh, no, whatever. Even in self-care or whatever, like it's a struggle.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really interesting and really, I mean, maybe not. Like I was about to say like really accurate, but maybe I do have a tendency to be hard on myself. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I'm still exploring it, but I think that I have a lot of improvements in execution myself.
Yeah, and I watch a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk kind of media,
Mm-hmm.
and a big thing that he's been pushing lately is like ideas and make. Like come up with an idea, and it's only going to stay an idea until you execute it on it and like make it a reality. So
Totally.
yeah, this is like something that I'm trying
But
to
then
work
there's
on
the whole
myself.
thing of like, you don't want to execute 15,000 ideas. So which ideas do you table? And
Mm-hmm.
like, I just met with this guy. Let me look up here. I'll look on my phone. His
Yeah.
last name, his first name's Bram.
Okay.
He built a program called No Code MVP, where you could build a company with no code. Okay. So it's Bram Kanstein. He's Dutch. So it's like let's see, Kanstein. His Twitter handle is Bram K, and he's great content on his posts. He great content on his Twitter. But he built this course called No Code MVP, and he's built essentially projects with no code, and he's even had a few of those projects acquired. And
Wow.
so his whole thing is execution. It's just like none of it. It's like, let's get past the idea part and let's just get to like flushing out which one we should execute on, and here's how to execute. It's very interesting.
That is cool. And yeah, like, the whole like concept of executing on something, like you don't even know what it could be until you start doing it. Like it takes shape as you like continue to execute and find out what works and what doesn't. And that's just like, well, who knows what the future will look like, but I'm just going to continue to taste different things and see what I can grow with. So
something I'm trying to get better at is being decisive
mm-hmm.
and focusing on momentum. Like sometimes you have analysis paralysis, and I'm a perfectionist. So like you want everything to be perfect, but then you don't do the thing because you're afraid. So I'm just focused on momentum and being decisive. Like make the choice and then execute momentum rather than executing perfection. And then the momentum buys you time to work on the perfection part.
Yeah.
And the other parties or whoever's involved really appreciate the momentum because all they really want is communication.
Yeah. And as you like build your brand or you like start, like if you can remember, like even just when you were just starting out in the tech space, like did you ever feel like some sort of imposter syndrome or
every day.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't go away. Yeah. I always feel imposter syndrome. But I also, I don't know, like life is like an evolving learning journey. My friend here, I'm going to do another one where I'm looking at my phone. My friend Schwan yesterday sent me this quote, and I've heard it before, and it's really important. And it just always escapes me. Like it doesn't stay in my head. I feel like as entrepreneurs, we constantly jump to like destination or like, what's the thing? What's the thing? What's the goal? What's the goal? What's the thing? Like, and Schwan sent me this quote. He said, success is a journey, not a destination. The doing is often more important than the outcome. So fucking true, man. And so we want to fall in love with the journey itself. Like we want to enjoy like the struggles or like the creativity in the struggles. When people ask me what to do, I say by being a founder, I signed up to be a professional problem solver. Like I need to understand how to consistently solve problems, make decisions, and find, just over and over, solve problems, solutions, and creative solutions. It's crazy. So.
Yeah. You're right. Like, loving the process other than the ultimate like goal, because you might not feel as, once you get to that goal, like, feel like that same feeling of gratitude or
Oh yeah, because they say like a lot of people struggle when they make it really big. They feel like, now what, And so it's because they weren't living a life of purpose. And but no, I'm saying that like the journey itself typically is so stressful. So like if we remember this is the part that's supposed to be dope, then like how do we make it dope? Because the only reason it is so stressful is because we are so obsessed with the outcome and that we're not at the outcome that we feel so stressed in the moment. But if like the outcome doesn't really matter, then how do you make this day dope?
Yeah. And how do you make it dope for yourself and your process?
It's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, right now I'm sitting in like an ab chair to make it dope. Like, I keep like wiggling around like this interview. I'm going to actually stand because I think I'm too much, but it's really hard. It's just not, I constantly default back to like, freaking out and then I work on not freaking out and then I freak out some more and yeah.
So let's talk about your podcast and the kinds of the audiences that you built and the brands. Excuse me. So what are the two podcasts that you?
So I have the Women in Tech podcast and the We Are LA Tech podcast. And the We Are LA Tech podcast spotlights LA tech companies and talent. And the Women in Tech podcast exists to celebrate women in tech around the world. So listeners feel if she can do it, so can I. And then the We Are LA Tech one is for listeners to quickly immerse themselves in the Los Angeles tech culture. Yeah.
Nice. So how many years have you been in the LA tech scene?
Well, I'm from LA, so
Okay,
I'm
so
actually
you've
from here.
grown up in it. Oh
Yeah.
wow. How have you seen the tech scene?
Yeah, I'm real. I
Yeah,
exist.
legitimate LA,
Yeah.
born and raised.
Yeah. Yeah, there were 20 of us in the beginning, and then the 20 of us created what it is today. So it's the third largest startup city in the world.
Mhm.
I think we're constantly in a fight with like New York and Tel Aviv or something.
Yeah,
But for the third spot.
right.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, we were a real communal feeling in the beginning, and then it becomes
Mhm.
more segregated. And so We Are LA exists to unify everybody together. Um, yeah, so it's changed a lot. It's weird that, like, back in the day, if you were in a coffee shop, you heard about script writing, and now you hear about startups. So that's a
Right.
huge like
What kind of app
difference.
idea do you have?
You could start a startup city like in any city, and now I know exactly how to do that.
Mhm.
The thing that makes us different than anywhere else is we're the entertainment hub. So when you have
Right.
like a whole content play, globally, like everything's digital, and LA is Hollywood and it's the content place,
Mhm.
that we do have extra brownie points for that.
Right.
But starting a tech city, yeah, any city can start. I know the total like roadmap to create a dominant tech city.
Mm. And so, besides the podcast, what else does LA Tech uh, do in LA?
Sure, we built a mobile app where people find out the events that are going on. But right now, obviously, like with COVID, like
Mhm.
we
Not so
there's
much these days.
that's for everybody, like
Yeah.
no events going on. And then we had an experience club for several years where people would again go skydiving together, or they'd go clay pigeon shooting or dinner events. And I would make it so there were only like 8 to 15 people tops, but 8 people really was the like sweet spot for
Mhm.
each activity, so people could form meaningful relationships and then do business together based on rapport.
Great. And
Yeah.
how have you been, like, their whole process for you for coming to realize that, like, building relationships for others and building that community was like an important thing for your journey or career?
So that's another thing I was just born with. I'm
Mm.
just a natural person that I view people like human art. They're like a puzzle, and I just want to figure out where all the places that they connect to each other. Yeah.
Nice.
So like We Are LA Tech is just a piece of me. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like that's all a
Yeah.
company is. It's like you like blown up into a business. And
Right.
so We Are LA Tech was inspired by my journey with my sports company, Zach Sports. And going through that process was really um, painful and awesome at exactly the same time.
Mm.
And so I wanted to create a safe place for people to get the resources they need and to connect with one another
Hmm.
in order to succeed and achieve their dreams. And so it's just We Are Tech was really created for the previous version of myself.
Yeah, that's great. Just creating environments for people to really thrive. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And with my sports company, I had an action sports calendar, and with We Are Tech, I have a calendar. There's so many similarities. Yeah.
Hmm. And how did you start the sports action company? What was that idea?
Um,
Where did that come from?
I started I started in real estate because I picked up a Robert Kiyosaki book at my friend's house when he was playing video games and we were supposed to leave, my friend Eric. And I read the book, and then he was ready to go to dinner or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm going to read the book now. And I read the whole book. And then I read every book that book, it was 4 quadrants. That's what it was called. And I think, and then, pretty sure that's what it was called. And then I read every book that book recommended. And so I started studying real estate really hardcore, like real estate investing. And I worked as a yacht stewardess, and I met this yacht broker and I was studying real estate like while I was working as a receptionist at this yacht brokerage firm in
Mm.
Florida, which is another story. And so, because I'm from LA,
Okay.
and the yacht broker had an eBay business and offered to sell it to me. I knew nothing about the stuff, but I
Mhm.
bought it. And so I bought all these accessories. It was profitable, and I murdered the company because I thought I was smarter than it.
Okay.
And I learned the important lesson at that point that you should learn what works first before changing everything.
Mm.
Anyway, that was a scuba diving business. And then I decided to build a network for scuba divers, because in the scuba diving industry, I don't know how much you know about scuba diving, but you need a buddy to scuba
Okay.
dive.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, oh, I'm going to create a place where people could find the scuba diving buddy. I can't believe
Oh,
this doesn't
nice.
exist.
Yeah.
And then, but I'd never been, scuba diving like wasn't my thing. I just wanted a business. So like, at the time it was an e-commerce business, which was really unheard of. And so I was like in like these little like chat forums learning how to have like an online business.
Mm.
And then my mentor at the time said, why are you working on the scuba diving business or this like scuba diving buddy? You don't care about scuba diving. You love like skateboarding and all this stuff.
Uh-huh.
She's like, why don't you just build for that? I'm like, novel idea. So I switched everything. So it was called Dive Tonight, my scuba diving business. And I switched it to, I think I switched it to all of the things, like skate tonight, surf tonight. Like I did all the things. I don't know.
Right.
I wonder where I came up with Dive Tonight, why I thought of that. I wonder if I wrote that down somewhere, because I have no idea.
Sure, it
But
felt
anyway,
logical in the moment. Yeah.
I'm sure. And so then I created the beginnings of Zech Sports from that. So it actually stemmed from my scuba diving business.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So how has like failure shaped your journey, or like as an entrepreneur,
Sure. I think it's the perception of failure that needs to constantly be tweaked, because like, what is failure? Like, is Kodak a failure? Is Nasty Gal by Sophia Amoroso a failure? Like, whatever businesses are going out of business due to our global situation, are they failures? I think the concept of failure is something that we really need to reevaluate, because the more we obsess and define ourselves by this perceived failure, the more inaction we take, the more paralyzed we feel. And so I think my journey has more been a relationship of like learning what failure means to me and what success means to me. And so success now, and I do falter, like I go back and forth, but like I try to hold on to success means taking action. Like that is success. I don't have control over the outcome. I could only do my best to contribute to the outcome in either a negative or positive way. And when I'm contributing to that consequence in a way where I don't like the consequence, what am I contributing so I could pivot that? So it's this constant reevaluation of everything. I think the most powerful thing any entrepreneur or person exploring business can do, including myself, is to change the perception of everything to be like one big experiment. Just everything is an experiment. Every task within it is an experiment. Every hire, everything is an experiment. And the only thing that will tell you what's right or wrong is the results of the experiment. But other than that, there's no idea that you could come up with that is a winning idea until you perform the experiment to find out if that idea has any validity, And sometimes even within the experiment, there's so many different variables that if you simply tweak a variable, like wasn't Instagram something different before it became Instagram, and Twitter was something different before it became Twitter, and et cetera, so forth. Like, it's just a series of experiments. And so to really pay attention and become extremely good at processes, extremely good at tracking processes, culture, those are the things that like really focus your attention on. And everything else is an abstract experiment.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. Just like go ahead and taste different things and see where the journey leads you. Right. So, so for any aspiring creator or creative person, like what would be your advice to them?
Man, do it. I mean, Nike said it best, right?
Yeah, they summed it up pretty well, right?
I mean, normally I say your intuition is your oracle and all these things, but I feel like someone like just starting out, like just do it. Like literally, I think isn't it Cody that says do the thing? Somebody says that.
Somebody says that. It's
Yeah.
probably Cody. Yeah.
No, Cody says that maybe he doesn't. Maybe those are the jump rope dudes do the thing. I think that's from them. But Cody says something similar. I wish I could remember it right now. I want to go, but I wouldn't be able to find it fast.
Right.
But maybe he says it too. Do the thing. But yeah, do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an original thought. Right now, I'm struggling which guy said that. So
Right. We'll find it out later. We'll plug it
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what type of like content do you watch yourself?
Actually, I'll say one more thing. So
Mhm.
I'm saying like do the thing, and you're listening, not you, but the listeners listening.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, do the thing. I'm like, no, but like stop.
Yeah.
Like go like if you're not doing the thing right now, ask yourself why. Like, are you
Mhm.
scared? And if you're scared, ask yourself why, and just like get to the bottom of it. Because if by the end of today, if you watch this interview or you listen to this interview right now and you're about to go to sleep and you've listened to this interview through the day and you didn't take any step at all to do the thing, like what, like just stop. Like
Mhm.
why are you even thinking about it anymore? Like obviously you don't want to really do the thing if you're not doing the thing.
Exactly.
And so
yeah.
I think that Tim Ferriss talks about this sometimes we feel like we're moving forward. So we do activities that emotionally make us feel like we're moving forward, but we're actually not moving forward at all.
Mhm.
So I think it's really important. David Meltzer says, study your calendar. It's really important to really understand like what, where it is that you're spending your time, and is that investing into where you want to go to. James Clear from Atomic Habits often talks about like 1% change has a much bigger impact than doing a lot at once, because then you go through these lulls. He
Mhm.
says with 1% change, if you change the course of a plane just by 1%, you'll end up in an entirely different destination. Like, so just every single day, like how do you architect your life to do the thing?
Yeah.
Like if you want to drink water, do you have water like everywhere that you sit? You know, if you want to exercise, like just put your clothes on, just that action, put your exercise clothes on, and then you'll just naturally like do an exercise, you know, like do the thing. Sorry, I feel like
No, it's absolutely like you need to nail the point for people to understand, because I was in that place myself. Like I felt like I was in a low spot. And then I don't know what it was that clicked, or just like realizing that you hit your whatever your lowest point is, that you need to make a change and start doing, because you know, maybe it was like a fear of judgment of others, or you know, like I said, like is it truly something that I want to do if I haven't even been doing it? So um for anybody like listening, you know, that's the like switch, like, you know, perspective that needs to be put into place if you like want to accomplish your goals.
I mean, let's talk about this podcast. I
Mhm.
mean, first of all, I love your vulnerability and sharing that you were not doing the thing and you're like, I am over myself
Oh
and not doing.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
this podcast is a representation for you, an
Mhm.
example of you doing the thing. Why did you create the podcast? And what is your desired goal? Like, why are you showing up to the mic?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm 25 now. I graduated from University of South Florida in Tampa with a, you know, a degree in marketing and entrepreneurship, which I think about it now as like, I don't know a lot of, you know, successful entrepreneurs who just like studied entrepreneurship. They went out and did and executed, which just interesting for myself. Um, and yeah, and then I got a job, like, you know, a corporate marketing job, because it was the only company that offered me a job after graduating school. And after 2 years with the company, just kind of hit my like breaking point, like a little burnt out, and decided to make a change. And I actually just in August I left to go teach English in Israel.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I did that, and then I just came back in February due to coronavirus. And you know, I'm applying for jobs during a pandemic, and it's a tough time um, to be, you know, looking on the job market, and just realizing that nobody is going to hand me my dream job. uh, you know,
What is your dream job?
to be probably to like work in content creation and media. If I have another project as well that I'm just starting to build up again, and so to do things like this and have conversations with interesting people who are of similar mindset, I think that would be, that's the dream scenario right there.
And this, where did this podcast come into play?
Yeah, so I've always just it's just been an idea that I've had for a while. Like I said, I watch Gary Vaynerchuk. There's a channel called Think Media, Sean Cannell, who just gives tips about YouTube. And I got to a point where I was watching so much about content creation, and I was like, why haven't I even tried it myself?
Mm.
So I was just like, I had an idea. In my previous corporate job, I was traveling across the country. Every Monday I flew somewhere, and every Friday I came home. So I started interviewing people in the airports, and
Nice.
and I started a YouTube channel just based around that, and editing all the different answers together to show how different or similar people's answers can be to the same question. And that was like my first stab at content creation, and
What happened to that? That sounds cool.
that's what I'm still doing. I started that project back up, and I turned it into a podcast as well. So I'm about
Nice.
10. I've recorded 10 episodes, released 4, and yeah, I'm doing that project and this at the same time while searching for my next career opportunity.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so like I was saying, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Think Media, I would always hear the phrase like everyone starts from zero, and I was like, yeah, everybody does. And you start a social media account that has 0 followers, you build it up from there. It's like whatever you decide to put out and share into the world, and like build up an audience and build a brand, that's like up to you. So I just always found the journey, like you were just talking about, the journey is just as interesting as getting to the like final destination. So that's kind of where this idea came from, and now I'm working on executing it.
And I think it's important to as you're going through everything, like a huge mistake I made is I didn't prioritize processes. And so all the processes were in my head, but not documented well. And then it's funny, again, back to the execution thing. Yeah. I do so much. It's crazy. So that's why the term execution is weird. Like when my old boss was like, you're not so good. I'm like, what does he mean by that? Because it doesn't mean the sentence isn't literal. So it's like I went down the exploration path. And I think it means that like having those communications and momentum, having the processes in place, like having like a full circle pick, like I'm just do. And it's like a war zone around me. It's like, and then that way and that way. Right. And everyone's just trying to keep up with me, and then I'm trying to keep up with myself. So I think if your exact, like I just started using a tool called Notion.so. Okay. It's pretty amazing. And like just documenting everything, like if you're booking me as a guest, immediately as a process thinking person is going through what are all the steps. So you write down the steps in Notion or wherever, but I'm like using it, write down all the steps. And then how do you automate or make those steps more comfortable or ease? And for me, I like to keep things really connective and of integrity. So only automate in things that you shouldn't be doing anyway. Like if you're manually sending someone else a Google Drive link, is there a way to automate it just being sent to that? Yeah. So that's a huge thing that I think would improve a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, like going forward, I hope to just keep executing and enjoying the process along the way.
Yeah.
And it's just like we were saying, like just putting yourself in those situations instead of watching from afar, it will lead you to who even knows what kind of situations or people that you'll meet along the way. So
totally. What does success look like for you?
I think freedom and like being able to continue to like do creative projects without any fear, fear of judgment, fear of like financial issues, and just continuing to create, I think is what I'm excited about, what drives
Do you have a
me.
number? Like a financial number?
Probably something that I need to think about and plan around more, but not at the moment.
I mean, when you say okay, if you don't mind, is it okay if I
Yeah, of course.
like
Yeah.
when you say I want freedom, and then you say freedom to me is being able to like not worry about money and this and that, but then you don't know what that number is
Hmm.
that makes you not worry about money like every month. If you don't know that number, then how could you ever reach not worrying, because it's so ambiguous.
True.
So having that number, and then also like really being open that there's several ways to get there. So
Hmm.
like, what are the things for your dream life?
Yeah, but just like being able to create and execute, and I would like, the ultimate dream is to be able to do like this podcast and content, create content for a living. So
I mean, potentially everybody's on this like create course bandwagon.
mhm.
I don't know how I feel about it, but it is something you could do. Do you have an expertise where this podcast could lead to these courses or something like that?
Maybe and, it's like, like I said, like you were building it up and it's just starting out, so there's a lot to think about and consider, and I
Or
probably
or
have to do some
maybe
more
like a lot to
introspection.
do about,
Yeah.
not think about, but a lot to do about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think you should do the no code MVP like
Mm.
yesterday. Like, not maybe, like, because the whole thing is executable, and then you could figure out where that ties into what you're doing and not even worry about getting a job. Like, unless you want a
Right.
job, is that part of your dream to like?
No, I mean, like, no, you're right. Like, having a job isn't, and having like a 9 to 5 consistently isn't. Maybe it's just where my mindset is at the moment of, with the way the world is currently, and I don't know. I think it's much more I need to think about and execute on what that looks like.
Like, I got finagled into this like intro strange session from a cult. So weird. Like, and so I was in this cult like intro session, right?
Mm.
Super creepy. I did not know at the time,
Okay.
obviously. But I learned this thing from them, and it's been with me for years. And
Uh,
they said the line, and I think it's how they get people into like other stuff. But they said the line, consider the possibility. And they're like, what is it? Suspend disbelief or belief, suspend belief. I think it's like suspend belief and then consider the possibility. So like, if you could suspend your own beliefs, your own narratives that you have to get a job and you have to do it this way, you
mhm.
put all of your storylines to the side, like, and you considered the possibility that anything is possible, then what?
Then anything is possible.
Yeah, but the point
Yeah.
is, what would you want possible
For me and my career and future.
for your
Yeah.
life every day?
Yeah. Like I said, like, I don't know. Have you heard of Rob's 10,000 Friends before?
No,
Okay,
tell
so
me.
yeah, Rob is doing a project where he's meeting 10,000 people 1 hour at a time, to reach 10,000 hours of like human connection. And once you reach 10,000 hours, um, you become an expert in something.
Yeah.
So I was recently a part of his project and got to speak with him, and I let me use our talk as a conversation for my other project, and just realizing that his whole uh, like literally what we're doing right now is what he does uh, for work. It's like he gets on a Zoom call, talks to people, and does it 4 times a day. And even though he's not uh, like being sponsored to do his project right now, he's still continuing to do it because it's what he loves. So once I like saw that he was, literally just doing the same exact thing that we're doing right now, is, and like built his life like that. Like, you see somebody else doing it, and anything that you've seen somebody like do it themselves, like you can do it for yourself as well. So that's kind
Totally.
of um, yeah, like, when you ask me like what I would like my life to look like, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I would love to be doing this all day. And
So that you just want to be doing podcasts all day
well, just so yeah, I mean,
or
like
content creation.
well, content creation, but then with an audience, you can kind of go towards different avenues as well. So creating meetups for creators who are also starting from zero, and conferences and talks and public speaking and writing books and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm
Okay.
starting from zero myself, and like this is my first attempt at growing this brand.
So I know I wrote them all down. I know Cody has man, it used to be at the top of my head. No small creator. So
Right.
he's like the no small creator. What if you're
Mhm.
the starting from zero brand? What if I know this is the podcast, but what if
Sure.
that is you? You are the guy who
Mhm.
represents starting from zero and you document. Are you documenting everything and having case studies for everything that you do?
That would be something to
So
continue to
like,
build.
what if you were branded right now? We did
Mhm.
it live / you guys are listening later
Right.
to as the starting from zero guy.
Mhm.
Every single day, your execution is to share your story on Twitter. You're asking questions on Twitter. You're saying, like, today I achieved this, starting from zero. Everything's starting from zero, starting from zero. And maybe that's your
Mhm.
hashtag, starting from
Right.
zero. And maybe, do you own startingfromzero.com?
No, I don't.
So check if that's available.
Okay.
Let's go look, open up a new screen,
Let's do
whatever. The
this.
listeners will wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, they understand. Like, so, and I'll keep talking. So like the starting from zero.com, you're that guy, you brand yourself that way. And everything you do, you think about it around that. You go,
Mhm.
by the way, the best way to look for a website fast is instantdomainsearch.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just searched startingfromzero.com, and it is owned by
Oh, somebody has it?
somebody does own it, yes.
So let's go to instantdomainsearch.com real quick.
Instantdomainsearch.com. We're doing this live.
Yeah. and then put in starting from zero and then see what other extensions there are. Is there .co, .io,
We do have .co.
right? And what do you care? You don't need perfection, right?
Right.
But if this is going to be your all-encompassing brand, like
Mhm.
own the brand and own the philosophy of the brand. What is the ecosystem around that brand? So like I said, every day maybe you're posting a case study, like here's what I did today, and maybe
Mhm.
your little mini case studies are just the execution because you're starting from zero. So all your
Right.
case studies aren't actually as much about results, they're about the progress of execution,
What
which
I
is in
did today.
alignment with what's in alignment and your own accountability.
Mm.
And maybe that leads to the starting from zero group, which you could use groups like there's Mighty Networks. Do you know that one?
No, I don't.
Okay, write
Write
that
that down.
down.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of others. Then you also write down Crowdcast. So you could create a group where you have a group and you have and you could have a course within the starting from zero, and you talk about all the execution things that you're learning, and you just share your learnings, like
Mhm.
because like what you're learning right now from Sean and from Gary, like all of that stuff you're gonna forget. So think about it like you're sharing your business journal, your thoughts, your learnings, and then you're sharing them with the community so they could be inspired too. Then on Crowdcast, you're gonna have the starting from zero office hours. So
Okay.
did you write down Crowdcast?
I did, yes.
And you're going to look at the way Notion does their office hours. There's a few other ones that do regular office hours, their community building. But you just say, hey, listen, everybody who's starting from zero, who
Mhm.
feels like it's just such a huge amount and they don't know how to get there, like let's be in this together. So we may all be starting from zero, but we don't have to start from zero alone. And that's your tagline. We all may be starting from zero, but we don't have to start from zero alone.
Awesome.
And and then you have your course, you have your group with Mighty Networks, potentially you have your office hours with Crowdcast. So you're posting that on social, you're posting it in Facebook groups, you're talking to maybe different Facebook group owners, like if they'll pin or let you post your live like office hours, because with Crowdcast you could display this Zoom inside any Facebook group, multiple Facebook groups. With this one, with Zoom, you could also actually live stream with a paid account to but it's not so much for community the way Crowdcast is.
Okay.
And so that one's just better for like a general office hours. And then maybe you have these live classes, and maybe people pay like even a $15 monthly membership, something way low, where it's like, if you can't even pay $15, like it's so low, then
Right.
like you're not right for this, because it's a $15 execution fee. $15 is the significance that you're going to execute. And you have a group and you guys all meet in Zoom, and you're the owner of this group, and you work out like how much they're paying you, and you just have like these like weekly or maybe daily, maybe you have daily accountability calls, maybe you have weekly accountability calls. I think maybe the situation that you're in daily is just fine. That's also in alignment with what you want to do yourself.
Right.
And people pay $15, maybe they pay $30, it's $1 a day, whatever. Like, and then
Yeah.
and
Scaling
everybody
a
in
business,
common just has starting from zero in common, and you all share what you're executing on.
right?
And if you
I'm getting a free coaching
yeah.
session. I love this. This is great.
And if you don't execute, like you can't be in the group anymore. No wannabes. You can start from zero, but you can't be a wannabe.
Wow. Yeah.
You know?
No, this is amazing.
Like literally, if you did even if everything I said was wrong, but if you did all the things, you would be in a more elevated place than you are like the moments before.
Right.
Because execution puts you like, doesn't even matter if it's, you could pivot back the way you'll learn what you need to learn. Yeah.
I mean, all of this is, I mean, this is like exactly what, I probably needed to hear at this time. So
Does any of it resonate with you? Does any of it excite you, or do you feel freaked out?
No, it definitely like excites me. It like opens the opportunities that are available. And like, I mean, yeah, my, current, like I said, I've been back in the States since February, and like applying to jobs, and then coronavirus, and all those jobs that I was applying for basically just got canceled, and minimal leads. So yeah, like instead of waiting on other people, like it's exciting to take your future in your own hands. So
Totally.
yeah,
To start from zero.
just starting from zero. Yeah.
But I'm serious. What of the things, and it doesn't have to be anything if they didn't resonate with you, but if they did resonate with you, what are your action steps from here? We're recording this on a Friday. It's Friday afternoon.
It is.
By Monday night, what will you have executed on?
I'll definitely have looked up all the different links and websites that you told me to look into. Trying to create a budget to buy a domain name.
I think a domain name is like $6 or something.
Oh, great. These numbers on instant domain search, these numbers are.
Oh, it's higher. It's like $20. It's probably maybe a .co. That's why. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably researching, maybe reaching out. I reached out to Cody to like ask him about being on this podcast, but maybe, any tips on his search from starting from zero and building his group. Because that does make a lot of sense. It's like similar, demographic of people who are interested in building their hobby and passion.
And the more you document, like my mentor Iman, I can never pronounce his last name, Godzi. It's GADZHI. I think you spell it. He's amazing. And I think the reason why he's so popular now is because when he started from zero, he documented the whole thing, so people see that they could trust him because they watched him go from zero to like where he is today. And now he's like filthy rich and in ridiculously large homes internationally. It's ridiculous, with Rolodexes on Rolodexes or whatever these watches are that he loves, like but he started from zero. He started from zero. So like I really think that everything I just gave you, 100%, I think you could do all of those things in 48 hours.
Oh, it's all doable. Yeah, I completely agree. And I
it's just if you want to.
Right. Yeah. If I really am serious about building this, then.
And if you think something's like not exactly right or whatever, like, Mighty Networks isn't exactly right, but I think Mighty Networks is a low cost tool that grows with you. And Crowdcast, maybe you could reach out for like a promo account or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just.
No.
Yeah. Or
I
do them
completely
here,
agree.
but I think, like, or do YouTube lives, whatever.
Hmm.
Like,
Right.
that's free. Do YouTube lives,
Hmm.
but you have your office hours live cast, let's call it.
Okay.
You have your that you share with as many people as possible,
Hmm.
like online, like join us, blah blah blah.
Right.
You have your course in your group with Mighty Networks. Yeah.
And how do you
And
find, like No Small Creator is an example
and
of?
you have your Zoom that you already have that's where people sign. So everybody that bought the like group that's in the group that buys the thing, the
Hmm.
membership, they get access to the Zoom. And then in the Zoom is where you have your daily your daily like calls to hold one
Right.
another accountable and discuss what have we executed on. It's not what are we, what have
What
we
have
executed,
we?
what have we executed on, what have we executed on. And
Definitely.
it's your job to stay really organized, and maybe you could document everything everybody's executed on in order to hold other people accountable.
Yeah. This is like I'm hearing all these different ideas, the things that I hadn't even like thought about myself before. So, super appreciative. And yeah, I definitely have a lot of work to do, and like, but it's
Totally.
exciting, like to create that path.
Totally. The hardest part is our own brains. We
Hmm.
hold ourselves back. Like you not finding a job or whatever like challenge all of us are going through. Like those aren't actually the challenges. The only challenge we have is our thought process.
Hmm.
Like we attract what we seek. Like,
Yeah.
so if we're like, oh, the job market is hard, it's going to be hard. David Meltzer says like that resistance and pain is a sign that like there's a problem there that we need to learn from, because like when we're in our flow, like abundance is coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
You're
for
welcome.
all these tips. Is extremely helpful, and I, definitely have a lot of to work ahead of me to build this. But I appreciate you being a part of the beginnings of this, and offering some extremely grateful advice.
Yeah, I'm happy to be a part of everybody starting from zero. I have no qualms of where someone's starting. I'm just happy that they're starting.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go, and I
Sure.
will get to work.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Yeah.
Are you doing an intro, or should I intro my own social, or how would you like to do that?
Yeah, if you want to, we can plug it here. And I was going to put an intro with the like a voiceover kind of thing at the beginning.
Oh
But
yeah, do that.
yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect.
All right.
All right.
All
It
right.
was
Thank
really
you
great
so
to meet
much,
you.
Harry. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks. You too. Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Have a good one.
Espree asked during the podcast what success looks like to me. After listening back to my answer, I feel that I answered pretty selfishly. My answer was all about me and what I want. I've had some more time to think about it, and I've decided to change my answer. The hope with this project is that people hear the stories of how their favorite content creators build their audiences, which then inspires them to get out of their own way and create as well. That is what success looks like to me. Thank you so much for listening to the Starting From Zero podcast. A special thank you to Espree for coming on. I really appreciate you. And you can find her on Instagram at Espree Devora, and on her podcast pages at wearelatech and at Woman in Tech Show. If you want to see more content from the Starting From Zero project on any other social media platforms, just search Starting From Zero. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.